How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking my channel and welcome to today's video. For any of you guys that are new to my content, if any of you guys didn't follow me prior to Diablo 2 Resurrected when I was playing on Pluggy, my first ever gambled amulet was a Metalgrid. And as amazing as it was to be able to actually get it, I didn't really have much of a use for it up until now. With the patch notes for patch number 5 now released, the Iron Golem charges on Metalgrid seem to be fixed, which is going to be great for this build, which is going to be an energy shield, Nova Sorceress, and using the Iron Golem, we're not only going to be able to keep her alive, but to practically make her invincible. We're going to go over the attributes, the skill tree, and especially the gear changes, comparatively speaking to the before necessary items to be able to help make her mana even higher, to now being able to open up items to be able to help with making her a really good magic find character. Let's go ahead and check it out. This build is unlike any of the other ones that I've played, as I usually go with the max Vita setup, but with this one, it's a max energy setup. This may feel sketchy to play as your health is incredibly low. Even with using battle orders, at first glance, it might not be something that most players consider being able to survive very well if you're not familiar with the build, but if played to the build's strengths, can be very viable. I have enough strength to equip the gear, and the rest is put into energy to maximize the ability to constantly spam skills as needed, as well as this is what's going to be used when taking damage, so to be able to have as much mana as possible is going to be very crucial for this build. And with the combo of everything else that we will discuss in this video, you'll see why this is nothing to worry about. Resistances don't matter with Energy Shield, aside from Poison, which bypasses mana. So whether you have 0% lightning, 30% lightning, or max 75% lightning resistance, it's not going to make a difference. So you can spec your build without needing to worry about your resistances. With the skill trees, to knock out the 2 with the simple 1-point wonders, we have 1 point into Frozen Armor in the Cold skill tree, and 1 point into Warmth in the Fire skill tree, and the rest of the points will be put into the Lightning skill tree. The main skills to max are Nova and Static, as it synergizes Nova and is our main skill to kill anything. Then there's Energy Shield and Telekinesis. Energy Shield converts the health loss from taking damage to then come from your mana, and Telekinesis minimizes the amount of mana taken from damage with each point invested into it, being 6% less per level. Last but equally as important is Lightning Mastery. I'm going to max out Lightning Mastery, Energy Shield, and the rest of the points go into Telekinesis because, despite each point into Telekinesis helps reduce mana lost. That will not be an issue with the Iron Golem we will be using. So for my character being at level 91, having Telekinesis not being maxed compared to the other crucial skills isn't an issue. Before this build, there were a lot of items that were considered necessary to be able to ensure better survivability when it came to mana consumption versus punishment, as that was a huge factor to consider aside from damage reduction. However, with the Iron Golem charges now being fixed on Metalgrid, it's going to allow for more freedom to be able to use other items to either help her with magic finding or just make her a lot more powerful in general. Now, prior to these patch notes, the gear that you had to be able to use to help keep her alive were a Harlequin Crest Shaco for mana and DR, Whiz Spike for FCR and a boost to mana, a Chains of Honor for DR, Frostburns for increasing mana, Silk Weaves for mana after each kill and boosting mana, Gurks for a good amount of DR, and Gladiator's Bane, Viper Magi, or Shaftstop for DR. None of those items are going to be used on this build as they're not considered necessary items anymore. However, if you do have any questions when it comes to your survivability, they are now optional to be able to use instead of just being mandatory. For the headwear, it's a Griffin's Eye to boost the lightning damage and reduce an enemy's lightning resistance, adding even more damage potential, as well as the plus to skills and FCR. For the body armor, after looking around at different options for being able to mix boosting life and allocating points and attributes where they should be, Enigma seems to be the best choice. With the large boost to strength, all of the hard points I'd normally have to use now go into energy to increase our mana significantly. Then there's DR or damage reduction, and life after each kill, which may seem small, but when going into large packs of monsters, that will add up very quickly. It also adds some magic find for those wanting to farm with this character, and wrapping it up with the boost to skills, which is great for increasing everything being used in this build even more. For the weapon, I have a Tal Rasha's Litless Eye socketed with an Istarune. This adds to the Lightning Mastery and has a good boost to energy and mana, as well as FCR. Unfortunately, I do not have an Oculus to use.
Bruh.
Or you can use the Rumor Crescent Moon for the negative 35% to lightning resistance. Though it doesn't initially add damage, reducing the resistance that low would make the damage that you do that much more effective. And especially with how cheap and easy it is to make, it would be a really nice alternative to use. The shield is a Spirit Shield for the FCR, FHR, and plus to skills. The belt is a Radness Mesh for the FCR, plus to skills, and any increase to overall mana is always welcome with this build. The rings are a Stone of Jordan for all of its help with increasing mana and plus to skills. The other ring is for FCR. The gloves are Chance Guards, and the boots are War Travelers. Both are being used for their magic find. On Switch, I am using CTA and Spirit combo for the boost to life and mana on my character, and life for my Mercenary. Last but certainly not least, the amulet is Metalgrid because its build revolves around this item for its fixed Iron Golem charges. In her inventory are Lightning Skillers and Aegids, and the small charms are all 7% Magic Find small charms. Lastly, I have a Torch, Annie, Cube, and both tomes. For the Mercenary, he's using an Andariel's Visage with a Fire and IAS jewel to balance out the negative fire res on the item. He's using this for the IAS and Life Leech. Despite that he isn't intended as the main source of killing, but if he ends up wandering off, this will help to give him a better chance to survive until we continue telestopping. The body armor is Fortitude, as he can help with damage coming from the enhanced damage mod. This will help him to kill off the stragglers if necessary. He also gets a needed boost to resistances if you were to take this build all over the game. The weapon is Infinity for the Conviction Aura, as without it to be able to help bring down an enemy's lightning resistance, this build would suffer a lot in being able to max out the DPS. The Iron Golem is made out of an Insight Polearm, and this will be the source of mana regeneration to help keep us alive with almost no issues as long as you play this build correctly. Now the strategy for this build is to telestomp everything and to just spam Nova so that way you can quickly kill large mobs of monsters and to be able to keep your Iron Golem and your Mercenary right next to you so that way, at least when it comes to melee attacks, they're not going to be taking any damage, you're going to be taking the brunt of everything. However, when it comes to any types of attacks that are going to go through your character, such as anything with lightning or fire that is going to pierce your character and to go to your Iron Golem and Mercenary, do keep in mind that you need to be very careful with making sure that they stay alive. This build will not work without them actually staying alive to be able to help you with being able to do an insane amount of damage and to be able to replenish your mana, because that's where your damage is going to come from with your Iron Golem being able to replenish it using Insight. I'm going to go ahead and do some example runs so you can see this build in action to see if this would be something that you feel is worth trying out, especially again with the Iron Golem now being fixed on the Metalgrid. Do keep in mind that when it comes to cows, this is something that you can actually run at a higher player setting because it is quite effective, and you can actually farm for runes and bases for rune words there. However, if you're going to farm somewhere like the Chaos Sanctuary, or if you're going to go and try to actually farm Veil, you want to be able to lower the player setting if you're playing single player offline, because of the fact that it's not going to be as effective in those areas, especially with monsters that have the attacks to be able to pierce your character and to be able to affect your Iron Golem and your Mercenary. Without them, would actually wreck this build until you're able to get them back. So just keep that in mind when it comes to farming areas. Let's go ahead and check out some runs to see how well this does. I'm farming the cows here on player 7 difficulty, clearing through them quite easily. You can see that I'm spamming Nova even more than I might need, but because of the Insight Iron Golem, you now could if you needed to be able to ensure whatever you're telestomping actually dies. And for anyone now that wants to be able to farm the Cow King, with the Crack of the Heavens Grand Charm to be able to sunder lightning immunity coming with patch 2.5, you'd be able to farm him with ease, especially since the negative lightning resistance penalty would have no effect on this build. In the Chaos Sanctuary, it would be best choice to run only up to player 3 difficulty on single player, as anything more will push this build too much to be worth the effort of farming here. Everything is dying quickly, but the stragglers take a little bit longer to kill, and if necessary, reposition the Mercenary and the Iron Golem to have them stay close to you, and if anything, focus on easier targets while having the furthest of your Nova's effect kill anything dangerous at a distance. Even here when facing Grand Vizier, this build handles him and his minions quite easily. Make sure to keep watch of our health pool. Telestomping into large packs really utilizes the 14 to life per kill from Enigma, as it quickly can add up to hundreds of health back when telestomping from pack to pack, back to back very quickly. Despite the fire from the Pit Lords are able to hit my Mercenary and my Iron Golem, they're both tanking the damage quite well, and if they end up wandering off, it's never very far and they're able to handle themselves briefly, allowing you to get your kills quickly and bring them back as you continue to telestomp everything. Even Desace can be not much of an issue. Lure his minions away from him and telestomp the first few of them, breaking their link to him and have the others walk over into your Nova radius. And once they're all handled, Desace is quite easy on his own. It only takes a matter of a few seconds for Diablo to go down as well, to get much needed experience and to continue farming for your Holy Grail. Taking poison damage would be the only resistance to create an issue for this build, but even considering that, Andariel goes down rather quickly on players 3, and your Iron Golem and Mercenary can stay alive without too much effort. Thresh Socket can be as quick to kill as using a few Novas to be able to farm for the sought after items that you desire. Wow, I honestly wasn't expecting anything to drop that's GG for this video. Nice. I was actually needing this very item for a build guide that you'll be seeing very soon. Lastly, this can be an amazing pit running character, especially on players 1 difficulty where everything would just get wrecked almost instantly. So long as you play this build to its strengths, this build has the potential to be quite the ATV for farming. And that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're able to see how well this character now does, especially when it comes to the Iron Golem charges on Metalgrid being fixed, to be able to help keep you practically invincible and to be able to make this a much more viable character for being able to magic find with not having to have so many necessary items to be able to increase your mana, but to be able to now add magic find to make this a really fun build to try out. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on, man. There you are. There you are.
And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. And if you want to watch more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, there's going to be a card in the corner up above for you guys to go check out. There's already a lot of content in the playlist that you'll see, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, hope you're all staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.